Palestine has always been a problem to be solved, both in the Middle East and in the world. Even Napoleon proposed solutions. With the British moves on Palestine and the American support, the problem turned into a chaos. As a result, the Palestinian territories were occupied. Palestine is a very important territory because of its location. Bordering Lebanon to the north, the Red Sea to the south, the Mediterranean Sea to the west, and Syria to the east. It is not only its geographical location that makes this land special. For the Jews, Palestine is their promised land. In 1799, Napoleon, one of the most memorable commanders in world history, proposed the idea of establishing a Jewish state in Palestine, which was then under Ottoman rule. The Ottoman state rejected the idea, but 100 years later, at the first Zionist Congress in Switzerland, the idea was reintroduced. The idea of a Jewish state became stronger and stronger. The main reason for this was the exclusion and genocide of Jews in Europe. Jews wanted a homeland to feel more secure. After the Congress, Jewish immigration to Palestine began. The Jews who went to the region lived together with Arabs. In 1917, Arthur Balfour, the British foreign minister, wanted to establish a Jewish state in Palestine. He sent a letter to Lord Rothschild, who was seen as the Jewish leader of that period. In the letter, he said that the British government would support this initiative. This event went down in history as the Balfour Declaration. The event that changed the fate of the region was the First World War. Arab tribes organized by Britain launched an uprising against the Ottoman Empire and declared victory. The British then officially occupied Palestine. In 1920, the League of Nations left the region under the mandate and protection of Britain. Jews continued to travel to Palestine. In the 1922 census, 11% of the population was made up of Jews. The growing Jewish population caused unrest between Arabs and Jews. In 1929, arguments between the two sides escalated into a fight in which Arabs killed 130 Jews. The British police in the area killed 110 Palestinians while suppressing the riots. In 1939, tensions between Arabs and Jews had increased considerably. In order to reduce these tensions, the British imposed a restriction on Jewish immigration. The Jews, however, did not take kindly to these British restrictions. Jews continued to come to Palestine illegally. On the one hand, they started to clash with the British to remove this restriction. Britain was exhausted from the Second World War and did not want to get rid of Palestine and deal with more problems, as it did with all its colonies. The situation was worse for the Jews in Europe during the Second World War. 6 million Jews were killed. They clung even more to the idea of creating a new state for themselves. In 1947, the Palestine issue was put on the agenda of the United Nations. A commission was set up to solve the problem, and it overwhelmingly recommended Palestinian independence. After May 15, 1948, Britain announced that it would withdraw all its forces from Palestine. The day before the withdrawal was completed, the Jewish National Council convened in Tel Aviv and declared the creation of the State of Israel, and Israel was officially established. On May 14th, the United States recognized the state on the same day. 2 days later, the Soviet Union also recognized Israel, but the Arab states strongly opposed the creation of Israel. This would be the beginning of the First Arab-Israeli War. Immediately after the declaration of the State of Israel, Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq started a war against Israel. The Soviet Union responded by providing military equipment to Israel through Czechoslovakia. The war between the 5 Arab states and Israel lasted 1 year. Israel, with an army of 75,000 men, won clear victories everywhere against the Arab states. The Arabs suffered crushing defeats. The best fighter among the Arab states was Jordan. Pressure from the United Nations and successive defeats forced the Arab states to make peace with Israel. Expanding the territories granted at the United Nations meeting, Israel took more than half of Palestine. After this war, Israel also took half of the holy city of Jerusalem. The other half remained in Jordanian territory. This war has the characteristic of changing the fate of the Middle East with its results. It was also the first episode of the Arab-Israeli wars that would continue. After the war, many Arab citizens sought refuge in other Arab states, and this is where the refugee problem began. Finally, this defeat started Arab nationalism in the Middle East.